What is the most infuriating case of double standards you've come across? For context, I have 2 little brothers. They do not share mothers. We were eating breakfast with the mother of one of them. The other one is a picky eater. He has issues with texture, but never complains. Just powers through best he can. She got up to get coffee and they traded plates. Her bio son had almost cleaned his and her stepson had eaten about half before the trade. Then they both got up and took their plates to her like they had finished. She accepted them both as done. You see, when her bio son says he's full, she believes him. When her stepson says he's full, she doesn't. So they made it look like the stepson had eaten more because they knew the bio's plate would be accepted in any condition. I never told them that I know they did this, and probably have for a while, but I love that they figured out a way around her double standards. Story 2. I once had a woman confront me at the park because she thought I was a child toucher. I was taking my 2 kids to the playground and I let them run ahead of me across the field, so they arrived a few minutes before me. When I finally got there, I sat on the bench off to the side and was looking at stuff on my phone. Then I noticed this woman looking over at me, and eventually she came over to tell me off and said that she was going to call the cops if I didn't leave. I was super confused and told her I was here with my kids, but I guess a 6'5" bald tattooed guy isn't allowed to go to the park with his kids. Eventually, my kids came over and it was pretty clear they were mine, but still. Oh, also there was another time when my daughter was crying in the supermarket that I had a woman confront me about abducting her. She was simply having a tantrum and I was not letting her get away with it. But I picked her up because I still needed to get a few things. Soon my wife showed up and again it was clear that my daughter was mine. But again, big double standard and potentially very serious. Yeah, being a man, especially a larger man, people get suspicious with you around kids, which sucks. Like, on one hand, I get it. It seems like it's a more likely to be dangerous or something. But at the same time, hey, behind every kid, there's a dad. Story 3. My high school English teacher would hear something even remotely phone-like and explode. "Whose phone is that?" If no one answered right away, she would pace the desks. And if anyone acted suspicious, she would have them empty their pockets, bags, etc. onto the desk. If there was a phone, she confiscated it. If there were any unread notifications, she would read them aloud. But every now and then, she would do her whole explosion and then glance down and giggle and say, "Oh, it's my phone," and then text away. Also, she was a terrible teacher. Story 4. 35 years ago, and it still pisses me off. I got detention in high school, and no biggie, I did the crime. However, I was scheduled to work, so I asked for detention to be delayed for 1 day. Request denied. I pointed out that football players routinely had theirs rescheduled to accommodate games and practice. Only answer I got was, "That's different." You're right, school admin, it is different. Work is more important. Story 5. In work, if I'm 5 minutes late, they will certainly let me know about it. But if I stay behind 15 minutes later than my finish, not even a mention. Story 6. Middle-aged woman I used to work with was always complaining about her son-in-law. And one day she was complaining to me and saying how he doesn't clean her daughter's car off when it snows, and that that's something the man should be doing. And I responded with, "Sure, but how would you feel if he said the same thing about dishes and being something the woman should do?" She paused and then said, "I never thought of it that way." Here's your daily reminder that gender roles are fine if both people are on board, but it does need to go both ways. Otherwise, gender roles aren't for you. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Story 7. There was a girl that kept putting her hands on me. Every day she would try to touch my balls, grab my butt, slap my butt, etc. I tried talking to my friends and my teacher and saying we weren't together and that she's making me uncomfortable, with many of my classmates' point of view as evidence. The teachers just gave her a stern talking to, but she later continued her harassment. Everyone knew I was being harassed, so I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. After she decided to slap my butt for the nth time, I turned around and slapped hers. Needless to say, I was tackled to the floor and was bogged down by the other girls. I explained to said teachers about the many times they witnessed me being harassed and did nothing about it. This one time I placed myself as the harasser and now suddenly they care. Luckily enough, they brought both me and the girl to the principal's office and warned us to not do it again or they'll call our parents. She stopped after that. Story 8. A girl I dated in high school would often vent to me about her friends' boyfriends doing the same things that she would do to me. For example, we would see each other every weekend. She wanted to see me more often, but we lived 40 minutes from each other and gas was expensive. I was broke and I had homework and extracurriculars, so I was busy during the week. She got mad and angrily told me to let her know when I cared enough to pencil her into my calendar. Not too much later, she was on the phone with me, telling me how her friend's boyfriend said the same thing to her friend and what a jerk he was for it. When I called her out, she made up some crap about how our situation was different. I just want to say, I can tell that when she said, "when you care enough to pencil me into your calendar," that's like verbatim. Because the way OP said it, the way it's phrased, Sounds very much so like it was seared into his brain. That's rough, buddy. Story 9. When I was a school nurse, I was always alone with whatever children needed assistance, even after I would ask for help. New male school nurse started, and all of a sudden, 3 other people were available just to watch him. I felt terrible for the guy, but literally no one trusted him with the diabetic kid or the kid with the trach alone. They insisted, oh, he can't be alone. But me, a woman, was never questioned. Double standards abound. Story 10. I was about 8 months pregnant. My cousin's girlfriend was about 7 months pregnant. We were all at my aunt's house. My cousin's girlfriend, let's call her Christy, had a reputation of not being very bright, but also being very arrogant. She insisted that it was perfectly fine to smoke during her pregnancy. This was because the baby's lungs aren't developed yet. Wow. Wow. No matter what evidence my aunt showed Christy, she stuck with her stubborn, selfish belief. She smoked cigarettes up until 6 months pregnant, and smoked pot from a street drug dealer up until the car ride to the hospital to deliver. She also drank 2 alcoholic beverages a day. We all suspected possibly more. We were all appalled, but there was nothing we could do to stop her. I had not said one thing to her about it because it just wasn't my place to. My aunt had said enough. On the other hand, I completely gave up alcohol. I never smoked. All coffee, caffeine, getting my hair and nails done, sushi, everything that my midwife said could possibly harm the unborn baby. I even switched to a natural deodorant, back to my aunt's house. My aunt had come back from a store with sub hoagies, fresh deli meats, and cheese. We all started making ourselves subs except for Christy, who was busy smoking a blunt in the bedroom. As I was eating my turkey sandwich, Christy comes out from the bedroom high as a kite, looks me dead in the eyes seriously, and says, "You're not supposed to be eating that. Deli meat is unsafe for the baby." It took every ounce of energy in my body to not hurl myself screaming in her face. Story 11. When I was a sophomore, a group of freshman girls all decided to go around racking guys because they thought the reactions were hysterical. I made it very clear that if anyone did that to me, I would slap the crap out of them. Lo and behold, after several other guys were hit and nothing done, one of them surprised me in the hallway and racked me. I promptly slapped her across the face and was sent to the principal's office by a female teacher who witnessed the whole thing. Thankfully, the principal was more understanding and just sent me back to class. Still, the whole thing pisses me off over a decade later. Edit. When I say racking, I mean slapping or otherwise hitting someone in the nuts for no reason other than to cause pain. Probably known under many different phrases or names, but that is what we know it as where I grew up in Texas. Also, sack tap, but racking was the phrase that first came to mind. Yeah, I mean, hey, fair enough. It's a stupid thing to go around doing to random people. You get whatever's coming to you at that point. Story 12. When we bought our house, my wife set up all the utilities. I'm on the spectrum and I really hate dealing with that stuff. Bills, money. I go to work, earn the money, and she does the budgeting and makes sure everything gets paid. It's crazy to me how often the company will have to get me on the phone to make a change or whatever on an account that she set up. I'm the husband, so I must be in charge of the finances, I guess. That's pretty stupid. If you're both owners of the account, companies should just let you do that kind of stuff. I'm surprised there's even call center people that care enough to check on that kind of thing, let alone for a weird sexist double standard. Story 13. I used to work at a really progressive company with lots of different personalities, which was very good for me, I might add. I'm a straight white guy and had a coworker who was gay. He was a jerk to everyone, but people found him hilarious. Seemingly because he was gay, so they let the straight up mean things he would say or do slip by. For example, he would say things like, "Well, of course you messed that up. You're a man." Or, "Why would I ask you, a man, to handle this for me? No thanks." Before I realized that he was just a mean guy, I would try to join in the banter. Basically, he would take a shot at me and I would fire one back at him in jest. He reported me to my manager saying that I was being offensive to him and I got reprimanded. After 2 to 3 instances of him not being able to take a joke, I realized I should just literally never talk to him unless it is 100% work-related. But the double standard of him being able to say anything because no one at the progressive company wants to reprimand the gay guy while the straight guy can't say those things really bothered me. Now, I want to be on OP's side here, but OP also didn't say how he would fire back. Because I do admittedly think that firing back in the exact same vein but replacing man with gay is still in bad taste. I'll give OP the benefit of the doubt for now, but I have my suspicions. Story 14. Senior year in high school. The football team got brand new uniforms, gear, and buses for tournaments paid for by the school. They had the only bus with AC and window tinting and nice Alcoa rims reserved for their use only. They even canceled a couple of elective classes in my senior year to free up money for the team. The girls' softball team had to do year-long fundraisers to pay for everything, down to the softball's uniforms and chartering buses for tournaments. So that year, the football team won one game in preseason, lost every other game. The girls' softball team went to and won their division at the state level. Oh, and the star boys baseball player got busted with marijuana on campus for the third or fourth time. Was told to sit out for 2 games. He could pick which ones. Wasn't even detention. Meanwhile, shortly later, another kid, a loner, got busted with marijuana once and got expelled. Had to take summer school to advance to the next grade. Priorities. Story 15. My cousin has been in court for 10 years because of child support problems with his ex-wife. If genders were swapped, he would be in jail for these same issues. She does not pay child support, adhere to court-ordered child visitation, ignores court-ordered restrictions on stalking him and family members, files false suits using Facebook posts as evidence against the order, does not feed the children properly. They usually come home in the same clothing they left in because she's too cheap to wash them, and sees it as his responsibility. She owes $100,000 in fines and is still facing no real consequences other than mail notices about non-payment. My SO's father missed 1 payment years ago. They suspended his business license and threatened a lien on his house. Her mother still owes $10,000 plus for drinking away the college fund and non-payment of child support with, again, no consequences. Fathers have no rights in Massachusetts. The mother is always right, even as a documented drug addict, which is yet another story along the same lines. Story 16. My wife can take our daughter to the park and enjoy watching her play with the other kids for hours. She can even go in there and play with the kids while all the other moms laugh. As a father, I've had the police called on me for being at a park with my daughter. She was even taken to the side and asked if I was really her dad. I hate how society thinks all men are evil child touchers and only women are trustworthy. I miss out on a lot as a dad out of fear of police coming every time I try to bring my daughter out to a park or even a walk sometimes. We live in a world where I have to explain to my young daughter that daddy loves her, but because other people are worried for her, only mom can take her out to the park alone. Story 17. Being a single parent. I was a single dad for a long time. Single mom equals normal, or maybe a deadbeat dad somewhere, or maybe a long list of not her fault. Single dad equals, what the hell, how can you take her kids from her? He must have done something to her. Or she just has to be dead, right? Because no way a man would have his kids. I literally had one of my kids' teachers say this to me during parent-teacher conferences. No background, no idea what my situation was, just assumed I'm a bad person. Stared right at me with a judgmental smirk on her face. When I rejoined the dating scene, I had women over and over stop messaging or calling when they found out I had custody of my kid. I'm sorry. Is that not like a green flag in dating? If you're okay with your partner having a pre-existing child, at least. Because oh, you have custody of your kid? You must be responsible. You must earn enough. You must be very caring. I don't know. I don't date men. But these sound like green flags all over the place for me. Story 18. I'm a white guy with a black friend, both in the military years ago. One night at work, he and I are busting each other's chops. My last name is fairly Italian sounding, so he jokingly says he's going to start calling me John Rigatoni. Everyone at work laughs out loud at this, including me. So I replied, fine, I'm going to call you Craig Chitlin. My buddy was cracking up, but my supervisor pulled me outside and told me, you can't say that. I asked why it was okay that he laughed at rigatoni. He said, because it's different. Story 19. I suffer from endometriosis and adenomyosis. A hysterectomy, surgical removal of the uterus, will help with the pain I've had for more than 10 years every day and improve my way of living. I've had 6 surgeries because of my diseases, lost an ovary, and after a few years of surgeries every 6 months, it was my choice to stop because I couldn't take it anymore. I never wanted children, so I suggested a hysterectomy as a final surgery to my doctors. But in Germany, a hysterectomy in your 20s is pretty hard to get. They told me I needed to wait until I was 30. I turned 30 this year, and now they tell me I need to wait till I'm 34. They always say that they don't want me to sue them if I change my mind, or if my husband changed his mind about wanting children. Oh, please, I primarily want this pain to stop. I don't want children. Also, it would be nearly impossible for me to have them even if I wanted to. My fiancé went to his doctor and asked when it would be possible to get a vasectomy when he was 25. He immediately got an appointment without even telling him why, or didn't even need to tell him his marital status or anything. How is that fair? Well, to answer your question, OP, it's not fair. I'm on your side, trust me. I think it's absolutely garbage that doctors are always like, oh, but what if your husband wants children in the future? Bro, my body. No? I've always heard the strangest excuses for stuff like this. It's all garbage. Story 20. Sexism/sexual harassment against men is tolerated compared to against women. I'm not saying it doesn't exist against women or that it's easier for them, far from it. But I feel that thanks to the Me Too movement and changing societal views, it's tolerated a lot less. Whereas against men, it's almost always met with jokes or mockery or its existence flat out being denied. I've worked in bars, landscaping, offices, customer service, so a variety of roles. I've dealt with everything from inappropriate comments, jokes, and outright harassment from women. If I ever tried reporting it, it was always downplayed as a joke. Or I was told I'm not a real man, as most men would enjoy it. Was some of it flattering? Sure. Did I feel awkward through it all? Yes. If genders/roles had been flipped, would it have been grounds for dismissal? Big yes. It's good to see attitudes on this are changing, but it's still nowhere near being fair for me. One of the reasons why I'm a feminist, equality benefits everyone. Story 21. I was intimately assaulted as a man. I'm told to suck it up. You must have liked it or it couldn't have happened. Or no man ever doesn't want to be touched. But women are instantly believed and consoled and are given tools to heal from the trauma. I'm not saying that's the bad part. They need help as well. Everyone would need help. Men get ridiculed and shunned and humiliated by their peers because men aren't supposed to have feelings or some garbage. We need to get past that boomer mindset. Trauma needs to be healed in a calming, caring, gentle way. Not being told that I'm a coward for not instantly going back to work and spread toxic masculinity. I don't think I've ever spoken about this in any way beyond one friend. This has been my TED Talk. Thank you. Story 22. Back in 7th grade, there was this monster of a girl who used to bully me. She was huge for her age, like almost 6 foot tall at 13. So one day she hits me and splits my lip. About 10 people, including a teacher, saw it and did nothing. They sent me to the nurse and had me go to the principal's office where he refused to believe that she was the aggressor. She did this with multiple kids with no reprimand on her part. About a week later, she goes to hit me again. I ducked. I did a leg sweep, and when she hit the floor, I punched her in the mouth so hard I dislocated her jaw and knocked out 3 teeth. Once again, there were witnesses that saw her attacking me. I got dragged to the principal's office and was screamed at for a good 30 minutes about why I should never hit a girl. They were threatening to expel me and everything. Her parents rushed to the school, and I found out why she got away with everything. Her dad was some kind of narc cop and was buddy-buddy with the principal. Came into the room yelling at me looking like a Hell's Angel biker with a badge on his belt. I told him I wasn't going to take crap from his daughter anymore, and that she was always bullying me and my friends. He refused to believe me and threatened to arrest me. I ended up getting 4-day suspension for it. My parents hired an attorney and sued the school and the dad, and received a quick settlement since the dad was in some deep undercover work with the local biker gang. About a month later, the girl came back to school and avoided me like the plague. I agree this is a double standard, and a no-tolerance thing in school is just stupid anyway. I personally believe that who is the aggressor does matter in situations like bullying. However, I do gotta say, sounds like you went kinda hard on the swing back. Like you swept her off her feet. You could have left it there. You went for the punch afterwards when she was effectively unable to fight back anymore. I don't know. At the same time, you're in 7th grade, so I'm not gonna call you stupid for it or mean. I just do think that facing some consequences may be in order there. Knocking out 3 teeth and dislocating a jaw, that has to be a pretty hefty blow. Anyway, that's all the time we have for stories today. I hope you were sufficiently frustrated by these double standards. I know I was. Nonetheless, I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.